Call the meeting to order.
Have a motion to, we gotta do the
Roll call.
roll call first, yeah.
At what time? Are you doing?
Oh, sorry, 3:32. Thank you.
Member Martino,
Here.
Member Jensen, absent. Member
Just cover.
Grenier,
Here.
Member Brents, absent. Member Beard,
Present.
Vice Chair Hamburg,
Here.
Chair Schellenberger.
Here.
This is Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to call somebody.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first up was consent items. So for the agenda, so do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
I can second.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All in favor?
Passes 5-0.
Okay, never mind.
All right, on to item B for consent items, approved minutes of the March 3rd, 2022 regular meeting. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Oh, those are the,
Oh,
that is from the meetings. Or on the side. There you go.
sorry.
That's
You're on
it.
the right page.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Hello.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 No.
5 yes, 1 no. Passing the minutes.
So public communications. Is this where we get?
This will be public communications on items not on the agenda. If anybody, members of the public, here in person or on Zoom would like to make a comment, please raise your hand. Items not on the agenda. I'm not seeing any public comment.
So on to, for discussion. Item A is the San Ynez Pride event, which is a new event proposal.
Okay, so I believe we have some representatives of the event here and also Scott from Cubs and Marvel to present the newly proposed event. So the process is that the TEC makes recommendations to the City Council and then the new events are finally approved by the City Council. So we'll just let our guests present.
Yep. Thank you so much for having us, ladies and gentlemen of the Tourism Advisory Committee. So I'd like to introduce Golzar and Adriana, who are members of the board, the newly formed board of the Santa Ynez Valley Pride. This event application came to us about 2 months ago, and we've had several initial conversations on behalf of the city with the permittees, and have sort of narrowed down a lot of the specifics, which is why it's now before you. So I will just quickly walk through the high-level city points and then let Golzar or Adriana speak a little bit more on the nuts and bolts of the event. So the proposal is for a parade route using the newly modified parade route coming from Lot 72 up Olisol, down Copenhagen, and then back around on Oak Street. So the only street closure as part of this application would be for that parade route on the parade day. And then the parade would be followed by a celebration in the park. So they would be utilizing the park beginning at noon on the 25th of June. And we'll have food vendors, bounce houses, music performances, all celebrating the anniversary of the Stonewall riots that kicked off the Pride movement. So everything that we've talked about with them, they've been able to do. They're working, once they get this approval today, they'll work with the ABC in San Luis Obispo to obtain their ABC permit. They'll work with the city and with the city manager and with Audra Olds to get quotes for managing the street closures. Those, of course, work with the sheriff for any police and public safety elements. They're already prepared with the health permit for Santa Barbara County for their food vendors and are in touch with the fire department for the fire permit. So with that, I will let Golzar share anything that she'd like about the event.
Quick question, what, the modified route is down Second?
Correct, so.
Okay, Second,
Yeah,
all right.
yes, sir. It's the same route as
All right.
the Yule Fest parade took in 2021.
Thank you, Scott. I just want to reintroduce myself. I'm Golzar Maymar, and I founded San Ynez Valley Pride this year. It's a nonprofit organization, and we've got a lot of really great things, but we are primarily focusing on Pride Month and Pride Week and this Pride Parade, and that's why we're here today. So Adriana is a board member, and she's leading this whole project, so I'm going to turn it over to her.
So hello, Adriana Reyes, also with People Helping People Inclusion Program Director as well as a board member with the newly formed SYV Pride. Born and raised here, Pirate, all the way, 1989 class. My father actually worked for Mr. Olson for 40 years. So been here for a very long time, my family and myself. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to come here and speak about this great event that's going to be happening if we can have permission to do so. It's going to be having everybody see Solving as a very inclusive spot to come and visit and a safe spot. So again, as what Scott had said, we're choosing the shorter route, which is Alice Hall, Copenhagen down 2nd Street, and the festival to immediately follow. With music, bounce houses, we are going to have a beer garden with Fig Mountain Brewery supplying the beer. And having just 2, possibly 3 food vendors, because we understand that people around also need to sell as well. So we're very conscious of that. Honestly, this is going to be a great event and it should be very fun. Do we wait for questions or?
Yes.
What's, you're gonna have, where's the beer gonna be? Is it in the park?
It'll be in the park, yes.
All right, with the bounce house and all, and the 3 food vendors, the vendors are gonna be in there all, are they gonna be trucks, or do you have an idea on that?
We have Rudy's a food truck on board, and then the Dog Eat Door hot dogs. So I'm assuming the vendors will be on the back part of the park. The beer probably will be over towards where the bathrooms are, and then the bounce house is closer to the stage. I want to separate the kids who live here. Yes.
Do you have an estimated amount of attendees yet?
Well, that's a question that's been asked. We're anticipating hopefully 300 to 400. It's a Saturday, so we're hoping that we will have a lot of tourists coming through in town. We are doing a lot of social media, along with Pacific Pride and the other Pride organizations, San Luis Obispo as well as San Maria and Lompoc. So yes, we're anticipating 300 to 400 people coming through. Also promoting people to stay in town at the local hotels and celebrating Pride all month with restaurants having 2-for-1 tastings in the tasting rooms.
Do you know what availability is at the hotels that weekend? Because it's a busy weekend.
It's a busy weekend,
It's
yeah.
graduation, isn't it? Is that graduation weekend?
I don't know if graduation at UCSB is in
No, it's not.
June.
That's a little late for our graduation.
Yeah, June 3rd is graduation at the high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, is it located in one area or throughout the town? First
The
of all-
festival will be located just at the center gazebo. That's where the
center gazebo.
festival will be
Okay.
located.
And is there a late time, the maximum time that you're hoping that, not knowing how many people are gonna be there, how late it may go or could go?
We are telling our staff and the entertainment to close off at 5:30.
5:30, okay.
What time is the parade?
11 to 12, and then 12 to 5:30 would be the event.
So we would have live amplified music?
Yes.
Will you have continuous bands playing or just one band?
It would be a DJ first, presentation, entertainment, and then a live band. Area 51 will be playing.
Is there a need or thought for security? I don't think so, but
Well,
have you thought about that?
We've thought about security most definitely, especially in the beer garden area possibly. Closure of the street, we're not anticipating too much security, but we are very conscious of that as well, so yes.
And it was a one-day event, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So Santa Ynez Pride has a separate nonprofit entity from People Helping People, or are they your fiscal agent?
They started as our fiscal agent with People Helping People. We do now have our own.
So you have an EIN number and a fiscal, and is it a 501c3 or is it a?
It is a 501(c)(3), so we do have our own entity now.
So it's registered as of?
SYV Pride.
Okay.
Any other marketing you're doing for the events besides social media?
Social media, we're doing a lot of flyers. The Santa Barbara Independent, we've contacted the Santa Ynez Valley Star, but primarily outside, social media would be the best to try to promote.
And Emma is our PR.
Yes, and Emma's our PR.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
I think we'd like to open it to public comment. There's one public comment here.
Hello, my name is Ben Olsen and I am speaking for the Red Viking restaurant and for Olsen's Bakery and for the Viking Cafe and for all the cafes we have on Copenhagen Drive and all the charming cafes and outside seating we have had in Solvang for the last 2 years. And I think there has been a big help for Solvang. It has been charming. And people like it, people love it. As a matter of fact, they don't just like it, they love it. And now we are turning the clock back. And you know, it's really a shame. And when the city council that night voted 3-2, I mean, that's just a close vote, and one of the votes probably should not have been there because that person kind of has a conflict of interest. Perhaps, I'm not quite sure, but I think she does. But so it could have been a tight vote. But now we're turning it back and bringing it back to a parking lot again on Copenhagen Drive, and I think it's a huge mistake, but I guess that's what we're going to try to do. And hopefully down the future we will realize that this was a mistake, and we will go back to where it is today. And I'm a little bit confused about, does this count for all the sidewalks cafes all over town, or is it just going to be on Copenhagen Drive?
So this goes to all of the cafes, and we'll be contacting all of the individual businesses individually. This public comment is supposed to be on the item.
Yeah.
So
but
Paula's
Ben, this is supposed to be about the
Pride.
What?
The event, were you supposed to be talking about the event that she was talking about,
I see,
not closing
okay.
Copenhagen?
Okay. Well, anyway, that's my point, and like I said before, I mean, this is an issue we have had for the last 35 years, so it's nothing new. Kim knows about it, and John knows about it, and Max knows about it, and you know, us old-timers, we all know about this and the old issue. So anyway, that's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Does anybody have any comments on this item? On the
Give us a little history of how first they decided to close it down.
No, we're
Was it
talking
because
So,
of the
so
pride?
that's not the item here.
Okay.
The
We're not
item
talking
is
about what he was.
Oh,
the Pride
okay,
event.
I'm sorry.
We are talking about
Only got
the
one.
Santa Ynez
Only got
Pride
one.
event. So does the
No.
committee have any additional comments, discussion? Is there a motion to approve the event?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any oppositions?
So passes 6-0.
Great.
Right.
We have a short agenda today, so the next item is,
Lego event follow-up.
so this item is
Time to
just,
get up.
if you have any comments, for those of you who were in town for the Lego event, Scott is here, obviously, who could also feed in any information on how the event went. Just an opportunity for all of you to have a chance to discuss the event that just occurred.
Scott, it was a great, I'll start, it was a great event. The only thing we missed is, I think, upfront, but we did upfront advertising, we didn't, I mean, and I don't know where we put that kind of advertising these days, I mean, in papers or news. But other than that, I thought it was great. We spread it out over town, just like we talked. It was one, I could have used a few more of them. People were dying to have them in front of their stores like I thought they would be, so.
Right.
Fantastic event.
For being a first year, I think it came off tremendous. I had
Yeah.
more comments coming in.
Yeah,
People that couldn't, they were just wanting to go to the next stop. So, and the way you set it up, everybody was so pleased and wanting to get out to the next and see everything. And seeing the guys that you had, they were quality people. So that made a difference, it really did. So.
different levels.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't want it to be, we don't want it to be too much like a gun and a knife fight, but we definitely, I mean, having one of the creators of Legoland, I think was a win. I think having, many of the competitors from the Lego TV show, I think was great. So, yeah, I agree with you about the advertising, and I think, as this board continues with the next marketing contractor, I think that's something that would benefit whoever sits in this chair in the future, of understanding very clearly the focus of things that are coming out of this room. So for us, we focused a lot of marketing efforts in Fresno and San Francisco, San Diego, and LA, because we understand that our role is to market, beyond solving. We did do some press placements in some of the local newspapers. We saw a lot of uptake at KTLA, KSBY, Rise's paper covered it. Jennifer Best actually wrote a fantastic article that was picked up by 2 of the local papers. But we intentionally didn't focus on local marketing because we didn't feel that was our remit from this organization. But I think that that's an area of ambiguity that could be addressed in the future.
Yeah, and then just add a kids corner like we talked about, but I know there was short, wasn't a lot of time to put it together, but I think it came off.
You know what, if you had the kid thing and it wasn't quality, I'm glad you didn't do it, because everything came off quality.
Yeah,
so
once,
rather that it would look like it's an afterthought.
Yeah.
And everything you've been doing has been quality, so to do something like that, someone would have criticized you for doing that. So I just say, it's better to do it either great or don't do it.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, John?
Yeah, I walked 8 of the 9 locations, and I thought they were all great. What I heard a number of times that tourists were asking, and some locals were there too, it should be a yearly event, or is it a yearly event? Which I thought was a very interesting thing. One contestant told me, and I think it was a contestant at Burkholm's Bakery, that they have a logo conference once a year, and that this would be an ideal place for them to have their conference. They have about 300 attendees. They would need about, a couple hundred rooms, and I thought it was a great lead on that. So I gave him my cell phone and told him to contact me. But I thought that it would have been better if we had all the locations in the park, because then you could just compare them, and you could walk around and really do it. It was a lot of walking for a lot of people, but yet again, it worked out really well. So that's about what I have to say on it, But I thought it was a great, and your contact here, Karen, was awesome. I walked with her to a number of locations. She was on the job here. The setup was great, and I think it was spread out enough so that everyone had a chance to really see all of Solvang.
Yeah, I think that was the, and I hope I pulled that out of these discussions with this group, that I felt like that was a big intent, was to make sure that it gave those who were here to attend it an opportunity to explore all of Solvang. So and obviously with the park out of commission for another couple of weeks, we felt like it was great to almost like the Nice adventure. It encourages folks to wander
I talked
around.
to a man whose name was Russell, and he works for a company called BrickLink, and you can Google that, bricklink.com, and they are the importers of Lego from Denmark. And his new CEO is a lady from Denmark, just moved here. She wanted to come, but she was just moving into her new place, but she is going to be coming there and seeking I'll probably go to the chamber and talk to people around here because she would like to get connected with Solvang.
Yeah. I encourage the city and this body to bring that back. I think that it's I think that could be an awesome, sort of Q1 opportunity for, to sort of bookend. You've got Q3 and Q4 sort of figured out, so I think this could be a great opportunity to encourage folks to continue to come in Q1 after all this COVID madness is behind us. Yes, ma'am.
I thought it was a great event. I thought you did well. Can you tell us where you are in your budget with it? Which you spent on your budget?
We're still putting the final numbers together, but I would say we're significantly under budget. The only category that we were a little over was hotels, just because obviously hotels were well, I mean, it's no secret ADR in Solvang is quite high these days, and we didn't feel it was appropriate to put the attendees in Buellton or San Ynez or a neighboring city. So the only place we're a little over budget is in hotels, but as per our contract, we're compiling all of the receipts and we'll submit those to the city manager likely in the next 5 to 7 days. So you'll definitely have them by the next TAC meeting.
On when we did the notes here, we asked that the credit cards that we were gonna do the stipends on, did they go within our zip code?
Yep,
Was that
yeah,
able to be done?
Yep, and we have we know where everybody spent their $500, so we'll include that with the report that goes for the wrap-up.
Okay, very good.
I really liked how positive and friendly the people at each booth were. I went around to several of them, and I talked with some of them myself, but also saw a lot of kids interacting with them and adults. So I thought that added a lot of value that people were able to talk to them. The one thing I would change if we do it next year, which I really think it should be done, is to have a central location. I like having locations spread out, some of the booths with the building, but having one location with maybe some sort of photo opportunity like you guys did with the, I think it was a winter.
The UFest photo stops, yep.
So some sort of photo stop, and then having the kids area in there, and maybe have some other future, so this could be in the park or on Copenhagen, somewhere where you can have a little bit bigger event, and you can attract more people to that central area, and then they'll end up going and seeing the rest of the locations. I think could be valuable.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
No, I just think he should be very well applauded on what a great event that it was, and very glad we supported it. And I truly liked the fact it was in the locations that it was in.
Yep.
And it just brought people out, and it made people move out, and the business community loved that. And
Great.
that was told to us, and we were very much able to get it out and blog other businesses along with it, so thank you.
Yep, not a problem at all.
And in a short amount of time, so.
I was pleased with it.
Make that council happy.
There's looks like we have public comment for the Lego event.
Yeah. I know all of you are too young to remember that, but in the early 80s, when Legoland was being built down in Carlsbad, Legoland had the eye on Solvang. They had talked about maybe located in Solvang before they chose Carlsbad. I mean, Dave and me, we were talking about that on the day, on that Sunday, and he definitely remember that time. He was on the city council at the time, I believe. So, that would have been, but Solvang decided it's too big for little bitty Solvang to house that big operation. But another idea we should probably try to look into is, I don't know how many of you have been to Legoland. But Legoland has little cities down there, and they have different streets. They have the streets of New York, they have a street of maybe Chicago, and a street of someplace else. So we could ask them to possibly put a street of Solvang in there. I mean, we should be close. We should be working close with Legoland, because Legoland is, you know, a Danish company. But something like that would be, I'm sure they're adding stuff to it all the time. So a street of Solvang, put Solvang. I mean, that place is seen by millions of people every year. So maybe that's another idea.
Yeah.
Good idea. Great idea.
And again, that's not a new idea. It's an old idea. We just never talked about it.
It's old
For
like
years.
you.
Will they have cars on the street, or will it be?
Of course.
Oh, but
stop.
city cars. I mean, it's a city this high.
I know.
So a street of Solvang would be perfect in there.
Yep.
I mean, what an advertisement that would be, right? I mean,
Yeah, no, I agree.
the chances are endless.
You want more matches?
The
Any other
chances
public
are
comments?
endless, right?
No?
No other public comment?
All right. Committee member comments. Should we go around? I'll start with you, Ken.
About anything?
Yeah, yeah,
Good.
committee member comments.
Good. I'm a little confused, and I'm hoping that someone can help me out. Because I'm seeing something on the upcoming council meeting regarding something we did, and I'm trying to look for it in the minutes. It was, I'm looking for a vote regarding the consent form for next Monday, item 4E. Is it
Okay.
4E? And I'm just wondering, because it comes back to us maybe, and I'd like to know, do I remember, or did we remember doing something on that? And I'm just looking to see if we can at least have that addressed today at some point before we close. Because I don't want to go to council and see that, because I don't recall that, you know.
So if I could explain reference to TAC for a council agenda item that only has to deal with prior actions that you have taken, which the only action that's relevant that you have taken was make recommendations for marketing structure going forward for the next fiscal year. So that's all that refers to.
It looks like how am I reading that? Is it's finishing on the consent? On the consent form? Does it say? Huh? We don't have it. But I'm just saying, because I feel it comes back to us.
It's a council agenda item which will be at the discretion of the city council.
But did we discuss it? What we're talking about on item 4E?
So the only things that you have discussed is your recommendations for marketing structure going forward. That's what the TEC made recommendations on, and that's what was forwarded to the city council.
Okay, well, I'll leave it to anybody else to talk about it. But I'm feeling uncomfortable about that. That I feel it might trail back to us for something that we did or did not do.
Actually, I think a lot of us look at the council meeting and many of us don't. When I looked at it, and I have only, and I'll disclose, I've only had a discussion with Kim about it, after, because it's proper to disclose that we have had a private, conversation, but it's only the two of us have had a conversation. It did not come through, when I read it, it does not come through, it goes that it was a council direction, it was not a direction but yet we shouldn't be included because we only asked for the restructuring. We didn't ask for what's on the thing, and I'm uncomfortable with it too. I have to say that I'm uncomfortable, but I understand it, but I'm uncomfortable. I had our council attorney look at it today from a chamber perspective, to understand it more properly. And I went through all of the notes of the last 2 months, but we didn't ask for that. I believe it was council direction that this is in, when I read down more.
Correct. That
Okay,
would be
I just wanna make
fine.
sure it's so it's, nobody is, why him and I have information, and I just wanna know, because I looked at it and I was concerned, so I didn't understand it at all, that I do not wanna be in that responsibility level. But-
And if the committee thinks that it's phrased confusingly in the report, I'm happy to clarify the language so it's clear that it's not the Tourism Advisory Committee recommendation, which it wasn't supposed to mean not, read that way, but
That's
I can
exactly
make it.
how I feel. It feels like we recommended that.
Okay, I can make that clarification.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think that was our recommendation at all. It was just to have more financial understanding and more financial clarity, very much so, of how our budgets went. That's why I asked in the conversation, did we meet the budget? Did we meet where things were at? Because I think financial is very important, how we spend our city money, and it's very important to the community listening. And that's what our job is to do, is to be oversight on how financial money is spent. But that was not the recommendation. It was just to make more clarity of how things were done, to help you out, to help the city out. And when we work together to write the, I wanna say, RFP and the business thing, that was what it was for. Okay.
So once again, I can make it clear that the TEC has not made any recommendations for the item that's on the agenda for city council consideration, their discretion on Monday. So it will be clear.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Thank you. Anything else?
Not for me.
No.
No?
No.
No. City staff comments.
I don't have any additional comments. Thank you.
Gee,
The shortest
Done?
meeting.
come on.
Meeting is adjourned. 4:04.